Tipp today, in association with Slattery's of Pecan, your main Peugeot dealer for over 50 years in the Premier County. Slattery'sGarage.ie.
Good morning, welcome along to Tipp today. 1800 938 007. That's our free phone number. Won't cost you if you'd like to make a call. And Leanne is producing today. It's a cold one out there for sure. So if you're about to head out, do wrap yourselves up, won't you? Coming up on the show this morning, what can we learn from how Roscrea handled the misuse of drugs and antisocial behaviour in the town? Government is set to ban single-use vapes in the European Union's chat control plan. We'll find out all about that, and it's an extremely interesting story indeed, and one I'm sure you'll be interested in. Muriel and Charlotte will be in studio to talk to us about our health as we approach Christmas, and Tier Daz will be live in studio celebrating a lifetime in music. So all of that and much, much more on the way. You can text and WhatsApp 083 311 3311. You can email tiptoday@tippfm.com. And as ever, we're delighted with however you might make contact with us. Let's have a look at the front pages of some of your newspapers. The Irish Times, and as you probably have gathered by now, I love photography, and it's dominated by a wonderful photograph of the Church of the Sacred Heart in Dunlewy in Donegal yesterday, with a kind of a dusting of snow on the mountains in the background, and it's just beautifully captured indeed. The main story on the Irish Times today: Metrolink planners are grappling with how to house foreign workers who will be among the 8,000 strong team needed to build the rail line. And also on the front page of the Times today, that story that Pat just brought you there: a Russian spy ship appears to be heading for Irish-controlled waters, with the UK promising a military response should it change course. And also on the Times today, about 70% of the 119,000 Ukrainians who have sought protection in Ireland to date are still in the state, and that's according to a new report from the CSO. The Irish Daily Mail: concern at fresh wave of migrants after UK crackdown is the headline there, and the government is on high alert seemingly for a fresh surge in asylum seekers arriving here. Now, it follows on from that announcement by the British government that it plans to make it much harder to claim asylum in the UK. The Irish Independent is dominated by a photograph of a smiley Ivan Yates, who said he has some regrets around his comments that Fine Gael should smear the BJs out of Catherine Connolly during the presidential campaign, but he refused to apologise at the Oireachtas Media Committee, saying his words had been weaponised. But the main story on the Indo: the government is bringing in emergency laws to stop companies trying to subvert the new auto-enrolment pension, seemingly, and about 750,000 workers will be signed up to the My Future Fund from early January. The Irish Examiner, the lead story on the Examiner today: urgent psychiatric attention had to be requested for a 25-year-old man charged yesterday afternoon with murdering his mother outside their family home in a Cork City suburb on Monday night. Also, Ivan Yates' story is there on the front page as well. But a particularly interesting story on the Farmers' Journal today. I'm not sure if you're across that whole Mercosur conversation, but seemingly the EU Parliament is attempting to fast-track a vote on one of the final hurdles of that Mercosur deal with Latin American countries. But there's an exclusive investigation in the Journal, and the Journal is on your shelves, by the way, and it's well worth having a read of this. But Brazil exposed is the headline: illegal antibiotic trade uncovered, zero medicines recording, no database to track sales, tagging and traceability issues. Health professor is absolutely shocked with what he found, and of course the fear there is the Brazilian meat and Mercosur meat indeed arriving into Europe. Well worth a read for sure. If you want to make comment on any of that, 083 311 3311. Now, a meeting is scheduled in Clonmel this evening and tomorrow morning to address substance misuse. The gathering comes in the wake of recent events, including a video that showed drug users openly injecting at the main guard in Clonmel, which received national media attention. Now, the community of Roscrea is all too familiar with this struggle, as the Roscrea Stands Up group took the lead in uniting residents to combat drug issues in their town. Derek Russell, one of the founders of that group, joins me now. Derek, good morning to you.
Morning, Frank. Good morning, listeners.
And really good to talk to you again, Derek. We've spoken quite a lot over the years, you and I. What's your reaction to what you've been hearing of what's going on in Clonmel?
Well, I suppose, Fran, it's not much solace to the people at Clonmel, but these things are happening all over the country every day of the week. And I know it's like when we had our problems in Roscrea, it's not to hit your own streets that you stand up and take a bit of notice of it all. But yeah, I seen the video that circulated around there as well, and it didn't look good. And if we go back to 2011, we had fairly serious issues going on in Roscrea as regards drugs, and while our problems might have levelled out a bit, there is still a drugs issue in Roscrea, like there is at every crossroads in Ireland at this stage. But the whole thing for the people at Clonmel, and what I'd be saying to them, is to attend that meeting tonight and go with the right idea. We had our first public meeting. We were expecting 30 people, and nearly 800 turned up to it, and we knew then that the people were behind us on our travels. But people will come to that meeting tonight, and they'll be the drug dealers and the drug pushers and people delivering the drugs and everything. They'll be there to hear what's going on and try and learn what people are going to do to try and combat it. So you'd have to have an open mind going into these things as well. But for us, they were once we sorted out initial problems like that, and we had people that joined our committees. And, as the weeks went on, we learned that they were only there to relay back to others what was going on at the meetings. And they're the type of things that you have to learn. But the only thing is, it's like I was at a meeting up in Dublin one time, and a man from Kerry who was well on his years said that it was a war and it would have to be fought by the people on the ground, and he never said a truer word like. It's the people at Clonmel will solve this quicker than any...
Yeah, because you were saying to Ellie, you made a very interesting statement to her. You said you can't rely on state bodies and organisations. It really is up to the people. Why do you think you can't rely on state bodies and organisations?
There's a place for the state bodies, there's a place for the guards, but it's the people that are out walking around Clonmel, out working, people that are going to school. They're the people that sees what's going on. The state body come down from Dublin or Limerick or wherever, but they'll only breeze in, breeze out. But the people at Clonmel will be living there 24/7, and they're the people that knows what goes on. And people will have to stand up and they'll have to say, yeah, my brother is doing drugs, I'm going to do something about that, or my friend, whatever. That's the only way of solving it. It's all very fine for public representatives to come out on the radio or in the papers or that and say we're going to do this, that and the other, but it never happens.
One of the critiques around the conversations that we've been having is that we're shedding a poor light on Clonmel. And, I was at quite a few of those meetings, Derek, and you and I, as I say, would have spoken a lot during those years about it. But one of the things was that the national spotlight was on Roscrea at that time, and I know that some of your people were criticised again for putting that bad slant on a town, but it's necessary to deal with it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, as you say, Fran, you attended some of the meetings and we've spoke a lot, but we had serious problems. We had people dying, and it was drug related, some of it. And, what they do, people were going to funerals and saying, oh, God, this is terrible and that. But, oh, God, this is terrible doesn't solve the problem, like. And you can, there's towns that I know and I've been brought to meetings and it's all right, but they don't want any public image. As you say, they don't want the spotlight on the towns, and they're thinking about tourism and all that. But eventually the drug issues and the intimidations and all that will bring the town down. It might take it a few years, but it will bring it down. So I say to the people at Clonmel to attend the meeting tonight and come out, and don't just come out and take over the meeting with big ideas and never be saw again. Come out and act on it all. There's a place, the guards will play a part in this. The locals will play. The certain state bodies will play a part as well. But at the end of the day, in 2 or 3 years' time, the people at Clonmel will be still living there, and they're the people that will make it work or not.
You mentioned the guards there. You had a lot of dealings with the guards throughout those years. What would you say to the people of Clonmel in terms of that relationship, that with the Gardaí?
Well, I found, as a group, and that we were lucky at the time, in fairness, guards were a little bit more plentiful than they are now, and we had was a detective brought into town at the time, and he seemed to be able to, get a lot of things done, that there was no barriers to what he could do. And if Clonmel could get somebody like that, or maybe to have somebody in the existing force and deal with the one person, because if you're going in today and you're meeting one guard today and you're meeting another guard the next day or whatever, as a group, it doesn't work. Whereas if you have one-to-one contact with the same person, it will work.
And somebody obviously who has an appetite to deal with this.
To deal with it, exactly. And, you have the Midwest Drug and Alcohol Forum there as well now, and they've done a lot for us as well, and still do. And drugs will never go totally out of any town or village in the country anymore. It's here, it's a part of life, but it's to try and curtail it some way, and, don't have young people getting involved in it, like 10 and 12 years of age, going around delivering drugs. Like, they're doomed for failure at the age of 12 and 13. And that's where we have to start hitting. And the day has come, I have people here coming with drugs issues and whatever. And one fellow was telling me that in the workplace he works in now, it's compulsory now for random drugs and alcohol testing, and the staff just had to agree to it, and that was it. And we're at a stage, and I know there's listeners probably going to go up in arms over this, but we're at a stage that has to come into secondary schools, and it most certainly has to come into college life, because, at the moment here, I have somewhere between 40 people coming. Some come once a week, some comes once a fortnight, and most unfortunately, a lot of their problems eliminated from being in college. They might have went to college and they mightn't hardly know what a drug was, and they came out of college with a problem.
So they were exposed to drugs at third level. And am I hearing you right in saying then that you believe that into the colleges and the schools we should impose that idea of drug testing on students?
Yes, and it's the same. Members of a hurling club came over one night for a chat, and they knew they had a big problem in their town. And I said to them, why don't you do random drug testing? They said, well, if we do that, we'll have nobody at training the following week.
Wow.
And I think if a lot of, and if that's not down to GA clubs or soccer clubs or rugby clubs or anything, that's down to a lot of societies, everything. Anywhere where you have a gathering, most unfortunately, people are merely succumbing to the idea that, it's okay to do drugs at. And we have to change that mindset.
And is it even more acceptable now than it was back in 2011 and back in those years?
Without a doubt. And, over time there was a person coming that works in a pub, and he was telling me that the pub could be full, but he's have to manage to serve the people. And like that's 100 people in the pub, and he's have to manage that. So what are the rest of them doing, like?
Yeah, because people were very shocked, as we said earlier on, about that piece of video that went around, because, there was a guy helping another to inject him with, I presume, heroin. But you see, it's the guys in the fancy suits and the designer wear that find it acceptable to take coke as a recreational drug on the weekend. And nobody seems to be shocked about that nowadays.
That's the truth, like, and... if we go back, it must be 15 or 20 years now since, a fairly well-known person in the media was on radio giving out about people doing drugs, and it turned out that he had a bigger problem than anybody.
Yeah.
And, it's every walk of life. One time it was deemed that it was Paddy poor man, but it's Paddy every man and women, and there's as many women doing drugs as there is fellas.
And, I know you helped an enormous amount of people to get off drugs and to get on with their lives. What is the common denominator among the people that you've met, Derek, if I can ask you that?
Yeah, well, as I said to you there earlier, it's really, if people go to college and, they mightn't have had much of a social life or whatever up to that stage, and they hit the college then, it doesn't matter what college you go to, the drug scene seems to be rife in them. And I know I'm going to get slated for saying that, but that's the truth, because people come here from, that have attended colleges all over the country, and, they might have been aware that there was drugs in their local town or village or whatever, but it just became part of the life once they hit college.
And what should parents look out for there, Derek? Because some students in the first semester coming home for Christmas and that. What should parents look out for?
Well, just to say that one of the best learning curves we ever had was the guards in Roscrea organised for some of the guards out of the drugs agency up in Dublin to come down, and they came down with an old-fashioned suitcase one night, and they had it left out on the table, and parents and people in the town were invited in to, come and look and see what drugs is available, how much, that piece of, or that bag of heroin or whatever was costing, the knock-on effect. And people were amazed because they didn't know it could have been sitting at home in the house and they wouldn't have known what it was. And they're the type of things that, we need to educate ourselves on. And I know we've all moved on a couple of generations, and drugs are probably in Ireland now 40 or 50 years. So it has come on down through the ranks. And, I have my own son, he tells me that, they have a class in school where they can openly talk about things, and people come in and say that their parents are taking drugs at home. So, like, what hope has that child, like, if it seems all right that their parents are sitting down taking drugs and they're there looking at them, like, so we can't turn around and blame, college students and whoever if it's deemed par for normality in life to, be into the drug scene in front of them.
The behavioural changes that maybe parents in particular could look out for, Derek, there's definitely mood changes, are there? Without
a doubt, yeah. Like, every parent knows the child better than anybody else. And, I suppose if the government were to step in and do something radical at the moment, it would be to educate the parents for a start. And this thing too of, I happen to work late at night with work, and I see these 12-year-olds and 15-year-olds, and they're going around towns at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm not talking about Tipperary, because when I work at night, I work out of town. And, like, if I know if my young fella is 14, I know where he is every move he makes during the day and night. And, parents have to step up. And I'm sure if you drive around somewhere you're away playing music in different parts of the country, you'll see that too, like.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. So, and everybody has a parent.
Yeah.
And as I said to you, on many occasions for me and you have talked about it, I got robbed one time, and it was all for drugs, money and that the people robbed me. But I couldn't blame the parents for that at the time. It was one of the people that robbed me knew exactly what was in the house and whatever at the time. So, like, it's the aspects of it all is so wide. But to get back to the people at Clonmel, just turn out in force tonight. Show what you want from the people, as I say, but It's the people power of Clonmel that'll make it happen. And there's no point in some fella or woman turning up tonight and hijacking the microphone for the night and venting whatever they want to vent, and they might have their own motive for being there. It's the ordinary people that make Clonmel take it back off of these people again.
Derek, great to talk to you again, and many thanks for coming on with us this morning. Thank you. Good morning.
No bother, and thanks, Fran.
How about you now? That's Derek Russell there, one of the founders of Roscrea, stands up, chatting to us this morning. Well worth listening to. Well worth listening to. I'm sure you'll agree. 1800 938 007. The text and WhatsApp is 083 311 3311. That HSE drug and alcohol helpline is 1800 459 459. It's a confidential free phone helpline from Monday to Friday between 9:30 and 5:30 p.m. But that number again is 1800 459 459. Back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Now, John from Roscrea was speaking to Leanne, and he said he feels Roscrea is lost. He said it feels like a shell of the town it was. He misses the buzz of the town in his youth. He said the loss of SuperValu was the last straw for him. If he wasn't in his 80s, he'd move on. And James describes himself as a concerned father in Thurles, and he said, Fran, I did some research, and I spoke to some young people, and a bag of cocaine would cost them €50 on a night out and will last them all night, and they won't have a hangover. It seems like a no-brainer to them, with the cost of a pint over €5. It's scary, says James. 083 311 3311. Now, the government has approved plans to ban the sale of disposable vapes and introduce new restrictions on other nicotine products. The Minister for Health, Jennifer Carroll McNeill, received approval to publish the Public Health Bill 2025. That's the single-use vapes bill, which would make it illegal for retailers to sell single EU e-cigarettes. Now, Derek Cagney has been a regular contributor to the programme, and Derek is from Modelling Vaping in Care and joins me now. Derek, good morning to you. I beg your pardon, that's modified vaping, I beg your pardon. How are you, Derek?
I'm good, Fran. Very good, thank you.
Good to talk to you. You've been calling for this for some time, Derek.
Well, sure. I genuinely think this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that these single-use disposables were so widely available that they were obviously a target towards the youth, and a successful target, as we can see.
So this idea then that the minister is pushing for this bill, it seems to be it's going to happen now. You think that's a good thing overall?
It's a very good thing, Fran. It's just, in my eyes, it's too little, too late. It should have never been allowed to evolve and to be so widely available to the youth. We're gone to a stage now where they've been on the market for maybe 7-8 years, and the people that did manage to get their hands on these disposables through different channels now are probably addicted to nicotine.
Which is really unfortunate indeed. We were very slow about this because my understanding is in Northern Ireland, for example, Derek, single-use vapes are banned there.
They are indeed. And look, you know, it's amazing. I sit back and I think about this a lot, obviously, with being in the industry. You know, it's amazing how the government were quick enough to get the tax off it and stuff that would attribute to the government as opposed to the people on the ground. As I said, it's far too little, too late. It's going to make a big difference going forward, that's for sure. But it should have been done years ago.
They're talking about future-proofing rules as well for other nicotine products, such as pouches, for example. To those who might have a clue what they are, would you just mind explaining what they are, Derek?
Yeah, they're actually called snus. I suppose they're very much like a miniature tea bag that goes underneath the lip. It releases the nicotine into the bloodstream very quick through the gum. They're relatively new. They've been out a couple of years, but they're now starting to get some traction. But I'd be strongly opposed to the fact that everything should be regulated. You know, the better it's regulated, and the more regulations we have, the safer we are as well as an industry.
So, would you go along with general regulation, right across the various products then?
Well, I've no issue whatsoever, Fran, with any type of regulation that helps the industry that we're in. We've worked tirelessly to create this industry. I mean, Micheál Martin made a statement last week that he saw that vaping was the revenge of the tobacco companies, and it was the most nonsense statement I think he's ever made, because the tobacco companies had nothing to do with creating vaping. It's a separate industry altogether. Granted, they are now trying to get a slice of the
yes, they are buying into the industry, are they not?
Oh, they are. They are. And, you know, to be honest, myself, I don't purchase any products that they produce, because I feel like I'm supporting them, you know, and that I don't want to do.
Yeah, where this is going, I mean, you know, they're talking about the packaging as well, and plain packaging, for example. How will that affect the business? Will that be useful?
Fran, it's a known factor that vaping is a safer alternative to smoking. That's clear cut. The second thing is, anybody that's vaping now, whether it comes in a white box, a blue box, or a pink box, they're going to continue to use their vape for nicotine. It might be less appealing to people passing a shop that can see bright colours in the window, but other than that, I mean, for me as a vapor, I don't care what colour the box is, you know?
You're going to still vape, obviously.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, Fran, without a shadow of a doubt. Even if I wasn't in the industry itself, I think I would be a vapor.
Some of the statements I'd love your view on. Some people saying, you know, people who never smoked but now vape are addicted to
that's
nicotine.
A classic one.
Yeah, will you take that from me, Derek?
Yeah, I will. I'd love to answer that, actually. People that never smoked vape. The answer to that is people that never vaped smoked. And the reason I say that, had vaping not evolved or taken off, I do feel that the majority of people that are vaping now who never smoked would end up smoking. It was the case 30 years ago when I was in school, Fran, that, you know, it was really cool to go to school and meet the lads in the handball alley or the bike shed or whatever and have a cigarette. So if it hadn't been vaping, it would have been something else. I think your last interview that you done on the radio a few minutes before I came on quite clearly shows that, you know.
Yeah, that's an interesting statement indeed. And would you take the other one that's often said, that you know people, if they can't get a vape, then they'll get a packet of cigarettes?
Now that's the one I disagree with. Totally disagree with it, because anywhere that you can buy a pack of cigarettes, you can buy a disposable vape. So granted, they may not get to the vape store or whatever, but if you can name one garage or one shop that you go into that doesn't sell a vape product these days, I'd be very surprised, Fran. So, you know, for them to say that people that, you know, can't get their hands on a vape will go in and buy a packet of cigarettes, that's a very poor statement, because everywhere that sells cigarettes now sell vapes. As we just said, the tobacco companies are coming in.
The other thing that's often thrown around is that, the people vaping, we have no idea what's in these products. Do you know what's in your vaping products?
Well, I clearly do with the products I sell, because all my products go through the HSE for testing.
Yeah.
So there is, what people don't understand in Ireland is there is huge regulations in place. So a product that comes into Ireland must be submitted to the HSE prior to selling for a period of 6 months. Once that product has been tested and deemed safe to sell in Ireland, it's then given an ECID number. Now, the problem we're facing as vape retailers is that there's so much product coming in that isn't being tested, this black market. And doing what they have done now with this huge hike on the taxation of vapes, they've just encouraged more of it. So...
because it's so expensive from regulated proper outlets like your own, that they will go to these. And are you talking about these pop-up places that we would see?
I'd be talking about a shop that sells multiple items. Like a vape store should be a vape store. It's as simple as that. A pharmacy is a pharmacy. A pub is a pub. An off-license is an off-license. You know, they're not candy stores. They're not mobile phone shops. You know, your shop should be identified on the product that you're selling. So, you know, I mean, I have several other shops around me that are not vape shops, but they sell multiples of other products. You know?
Would you answer one other statement for me? The HSE seemingly doesn't recommend vaping as a way to quit smoking and notes that the practice has been linked to sleep problems, mental health difficulties, and can damage a person's heart, lungs, and blood vessels.
I've done some research into this myself since it began, Fran. When I first started this industry, I was nervous myself that there may be a big backlash from all of this. So I've been studying and watching the UK very closely. They seem to do things correct no matter what it is, whether it's the infrastructure of roads or whatever the case may be. They spent 15 million on their first studies on vaping, and even up to October of this year, they were putting in another 2 million into the University of Birmingham for further studies. They've yet to find something that proves these allegations. Whilst we all know it's better not to smoke or vape, the alternative of vaping is far safer than smoking. We don't have tar in our products. We don't have the 17 chemicals that are attributed to cancers. You have vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol, and flavouring, and your nicotine. So, you know, this whole TPD that they've created back in 2014 kind of safeguards people if they use the right products.
And just a final thing, the prohibition of the retail sale of single-use or disposable vapes then, Derek, that's all fine and very well, but will people be still able to buy these on the black market?
They sure will, Fran. The same as you can buy anything on the black market. It doesn't have to be vapes. It's anything. You know, whatever you delve deep enough into, you'll find it. My concern is they haven't covered the loopholes. I mean, they've said a single-use disposable vape to be banned. So what are the manufacturers going to do? They're going to change them from single-use to being able to use them 2 or 3 times. They'll supply cartridges that clip into them, and then they automatically come out of that bracket. This is the problem from day one, Fran, that the government and these people making these huge decisions are not talking to the people who developed and created the industry to safeguard what we have here. They're just going on a wing and a prayer. Like anyone that's talking about vaping, whether it be on the television or whatever the case may be, these are people that haven't a clue about the industry.
There's a final one. Mary was on to say, I found my son with a vape with THC distillate. He's 16. I was terrified. I heard this is dangerous. I don't know how to approach the subject. I'm afraid of disciplining him and because that may make him do more. Teenage rebellion and all of that. What is THC distillate?
THC is a form of cannabis liquid. It's an extract of cannabis that they're mixing with liquids. Now, this has been going on since, you know, for the last 7 or 8 years. Again, it's brought into the vape industry, which is absolutely nothing to do with us. It's just another way of administering it into the body without people recognising it.
And this is illegal, obviously.
Oh, totally illegal. And you know, they try and bring out new formats of it every now and again, and it's on the market for 3 or 6 months, and then the government banned the next variant and the next variant and the next variant. The problem is we have a lot of wise guys or clever people in Ireland that think they can make it themselves as well, and they're buying plant material and they're extracting and they're mixing it with vape juice and they're selling it. And it's very dangerous, because these people that are mixing it and extracting it, they're not doing it in a pharmaceutical environment. They're not scientists. They're not, you know, these are people that are just looking for quick money and easy targets like the youth, you know.
Derek, great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Derek.
Many thanks for having me again.
Good morning to you. Derek Cagney there from Modified Vaping in Care. I think they have an outlet in Kilkenny as well. We'll take a break, back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tip today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tip today on 1800 938 007.
Yesterday on the show, both Councillor John O'Heaney and Deputy Matt McGrath shared their disappointment at the recent allocation of a Gardaí, new Gardaí from Templemore. Former Garda and former Tipperary GRA rep Tom Finnan was in touch and joins me now. Good morning to you, Tom.
Morning, Fran.
And great to talk to you again, Tom, and thanks for coming on with us. You were making the point yesterday that we were put on notice of this back in 2019, Tom.
You were, Fran. You can remember me on your show many a time, and I told you that the Operation Policing model wouldn't work for Tipperary or Clare, and it's coming to fruition now. And I also told you that Drew Harris wasn't the right appointment for Commissioner of Garda Síochána. And I think I was right, Fran, because what has he done in his tenure?
Well, it seems like the morale in the force, Tom, is just appalling, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt, Fran. 99% of Garda members had no confidence in Drew Harris in 2023. So that shows you what the people on the front line thought of their boss.
And is there anything that would lead you to believe that the new commissioner will sort of bring some new vision to the party?
I would hope so. He's a guard since day one.
Yeah.
He knows the workings of Garda Síochána. He knows the problems better than anybody else. Now, in Drew Harris' defence, he was given a mandate from Fine Gael to come in and do X, Y, and Z. And this man, at least he'll know the problems. And I hope he's given all the support he can get, because he's on the back foot already.
What was the thinking behind amalgamating Tipperary and Clare? Because, you know, two very different jurisdictions and a huge travel time there from the likes of Carrick and Short Ennis, for example. What was the thinking behind that, Tom?
There was no thinking behind it, friend. It was just decided by a flick of a pen. I was at a meeting where Drew Harris was there with the executive of the GRA at the time, and he hadn't a clue what the problems were on the ground in Tipperary, so I asked him. He said he'd fix them as he's going along. Fran, in my view, the problems are worse. You've no members of Garda Síochána. You can't get them out and about in the towns and villages that they're needed, because they're not there. Everyone's retiring that can retire. And the resignations has gone through the roof.
So things are worse, Tom, than when you and I would have been speaking back in 2019 then?
They are, friend. They're gone worse, yeah. Look, you're on the road an awful lot. I'm on the road. It's really hard to see a guard now.
Hardly ever.
Because they're all behind computers, getting boxes ticked to make sure that everything is right on an incident. You know, my view is that the people of Garda Síochána, boys and girls, should be out in the community, and there should be someone else ticking the boxes, making sure that the incidents are updated or that the crimes are being investigated properly.
But didn't we hear about that over the years? Was there not a drive at one stage, Tom, to put, you know, secular people in there doing the administration work so that, you know, the Gardaí could be out and about? Well, was there not an attempt to do that?
There was, right. That hasn't worked either. I don't know how many civilians are in Garda Síochána now. I know the number of guards is lacking for the number of per population in the country. But I honestly, Fran, the Operation Policing model, which you asked me about there a few minutes ago, it's not working between Tip and Clare. And it's up to the 6 TDs for Tipperary, north and south, because north comes down to Capel White and south goes up to nearly Horse and Jockey the constituency boundaries, they have to work together to tell Justin Kelly and Jim O'Callaghan, put Tipperary alone, please, because they're stretched. The members in Tipperary are stretched as it is at the moment, besides going across the country to Clare or to Killaloo or Scariff to calls, which is happening.
And it doesn't seem to make sense to anybody. I'd love to know what the thinking behind it was. There were attempts to do this.
There was no thinking.
There were attempts as well, Tom, to do this in other places, and they've rolled back on it. I think up around Kildare, for example.
Friend, Dublin wasn't touched, Cork wasn't touched, Galway wasn't touched, or Limerick wasn't touched in relation to dividing up stations. Like, if you're inside Limerick and there's an incident there, our nearest city, right? You have Mirestone, Roxburgh and Henry Street, 3 Garda stations.
Yeah.
You have backup. If Tiptown needs backup, the nearest station is Cashel or Care. That's 20 minutes away.
And that depends on whether there's a full complement of Gardaí available in those places at the time.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. I'm thinking when I went to Thurles first, and Templemore, if they were in trouble, Thurles went over, vice versa. That was the backup. And
that's not there now, you're saying, Tom?
No, the members aren't there, friend, because, like, you have protective services unit that been set up there in the last 10 years. Needed to be set up. But that took frontline members into those units. Like, what's lacking big time, friend, is the drugs unit. The drugs unit is totally understaffed and resourced. And you know, from the calls you get, drugs is the major problem in society.
Well, it certainly is the big conversation over the past couple of weeks. I mean, some of the images that we're seeing are absolutely frightening, Tom.
Yeah, they are, friend. But at least someone saw the image, friend, to bring it to the notice of what's going on. Like, if that wasn't brought to the notice, where would we be today? We'd be hiding behind what's going on.
Yeah, see, we're playing catch-up in terms of training Gardaí as well, and it seems that the majority of the Gardaí who are coming out of Templemore now are either going to Dublin or Cork, or certainly the major cities, with rural Ireland being left behind. Is that your take on it as well?
Yeah, it is. It's very hard to get members from Garda College to come to Tipperary. The most we ever got, I think, was 4 to Clonmel. In my time, I don't know what it's been like there for the last 3.5 years, but members of the Garda Síochána are going to the bigger areas, that's without a doubt. And it was always the case. That would happen until the Chief Superintendent for Tipperary fought her case, or his case, to get more resources.
And is it more difficult to fight now because you're fighting on behalf of 2 counties in a bigger area? Is it more difficult now, do you think, to fight a case?
Without a doubt. Because you have a bigger geographical area. You need members nearly everywhere. So where do you specify first preference to in the Tip Clare division? I don't know, friend, because Tip was alone when I left, and it should have been left alone. And I fought to get it left alone, but I didn't succeed. And all I'd say to you now is that if it's finished above them, or if it didn't happen in Roscrea or Kildare, or Meath, Westmeath, or Donegal, Sligo, Leitrim, whatever, the powers that be now should go to Jim O'Callaghan and Commissioner Justin Kelly and say, put Tipperary back alone.
Did you find it interesting that Deputy Michael Murphy brought this up in the Dáil, and he brought it up directly to the Taoiseach Simon Harris? And Simon Harris came back at him and said, yeah, but it's the decision making is completely on the desk of the Garda Commissioner, as if the Minister for Justice and the Department of Justice has little or no say in any of this. Does that surprise you to hear that?
That's not true.
Well, this is from the Taoiseach, you know.
Yeah, well, the Department of Justice runs on Garda Síochána. And whatever comes from the Department of Justice, the Commissioner of Garda Síochána of the day has to implement it. He can't go off on a tangent by himself trying to decide, especially Drew Harris. He just came into the job, didn't have a clue about Tipperary or Clare. And you're telling me that he put the two of them together? That's not true.
So there is political influence on this, you think?
Yeah. And without a doubt. Who appointed Drew Harris?
Well, the government, I suppose.
Fine, yeah.
So, just finally, Tom, the future. Unless that we arrest this, if you forgive the pun, or do something about this now, what about the future, Tom?
It'll get worse, Fran. You need members of Garda Síochána out in the community. We're a community-based police force, and we like being in the community, getting to know the people and getting information that solves stuff. All I can say to you is that CCTV footage isn't everywhere. You need information.
And you get that from the community?
You get it from the community, Fran, when you're out and about with them, and you earn it. You know, you get their respect, and you get their knowledge of what's going on, and they'll come to you. If they trust you, trust and respect, Fran. If they trust you and respect you, they'll come to you with all the problems, and they'll tell you, oh, Joe Bloggs or Mary Bloggs down the road is stealing. You set up an operation, then you find out if it's true, and if it's true, you get a capture.
All right, Tom, I must leave it there, but it's great to hear your voice on the radio again. Good to talk to you, Tom. Thanks very much for coming on with me. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you. Good morning to you. And it's Tom Finnan there, former Garda and former Tipperary GRA rep as well. What do you think about that? 083 311 3311.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24111.
Thanks, Pat. Welcome back to the second hour of Tipp Today. Listen around to say, Frank, can we talk about the state of pub bathrooms? The fact that publicans now have to put Vaseline and oil on the sinks to stop people doing drugs off them. I was in a pub bathroom recently and I couldn't describe what I saw thrown beside the bins. Empty bags, needles, bloody tissues. God help us all, says Pat. Okay, lots more coming in on that. And what we will do is we will save some of this up because I know we're going to get back to it on the programme tomorrow. But some of what we're hearing and some of what Leanne is hearing this morning is really, really troubling indeed. Ricky is in Cash and he says, what about the person, this is reflecting our conversation around vapes this morning. What about the person who doesn't smoke, have never smoked, and is in a bar and these people take out their vapes and smokes the vapes and blows the smoke out, and you inhale the smoke, and we have to leave the bar because of these people using their vapes. To me, it should be banned in the bars and buses and trains and every other transport in Ireland. To me, it's disgusting, and it should be banned like cigarettes in pubs and every sort of transport here in Ireland, says Ricky. To the best of my knowledge, it's not supposed to happen in pubs, to the best of my knowledge. So if that's happening there, you need to complain to the owner because it shouldn't be. The European Union's chat control is a plan to scan all private messages on encrypted apps. Apps like WhatsApp, Signal and Telegram must scan all messages, photos and videos on users' devices before encryption. Now, to discuss the consequences of this, I'm glad to be joined by Paula Carney-Hoffler, who's a data protection officer, president of the Irish Computer Society and regular contributor on the show. Paula, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran. Fran.
And good to talk to you today. You alerted me to this, Paula. You're not one for hyperbole, but you're concerned about this.
I am hugely concerned about this. This is a piece of a proposed regulation, a proposal that is going through a kind of review in Europe at the moment that no one seems to be aware of. It is basically what it is I want your listeners to imagine if every message you send, be it WhatsApp, Signal, whatever, and even private emails will be scanned before it leaves your phone.
Before it leaves your phone?
Before it leaves your phone at device level.
How is that even technically possible?
There is a thing called client-side scanning. It's a piece of technology that's built into the operating system of your device. You type a message in, before you send it through, the CSS, client-side scanning, is going to collect that information and it's going to send it to a place called the EU Centre. Now, this is all in the proposal. And they're going to see if there is any CSAM, child sexual material, abuse material, being sent.
Yeah, that's what they're saying about the initiative, that it's to prevent child sexual abuse material. But it certainly sparked an awful lot of concern.
It's not. It's mass surveillance. It is I've never seen anything like this in Europe ever before. The nearest I can get to something similar is what the US do in relation to sweeping up data for measures of national security through their PRISM programme. This is huge. This is mass surveillance. So every device in Europe, well, not every device, and I'll explain in a minute, the majority of Europeans' information will be exposed to CSS, and the worst thing is you're going to consent to it. You're going to agree to it.
Well, we're not, but the governments are going to agree.
Oh, the governments are going. The Irish government is firmly supporting this. So I was looking at actually what MEPs, what members of the Parliament voted. Ireland's predominantly Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael who have voted. Everybody else opposed. But yeah, so it's literally going to scan your device, scan your message. It's going to do that before it goes into encryption, and then it's going to, if there's something that comes up, it's going to be sent directly to this EU centre, who that EU centre will operate of Europe will send it then to the local authority, the competent authority in Ireland.
Who's going to police this, and who will make sure that even if it was to deal with child sexual abuse images, who will police this and decide that?
It'll be at the member state level. So it'll be policed in Ireland for Ireland. It'll be policed in Germany for Germany, policed in France for France. In relation to policing, there is no policing. It is mass surveillance. So images so you could imagine like a text or an image or a comment. What's going to happen is they're going to use AI to actually go look for this information in the communication you're sending. So if something flags, it's going to be sent to the EU Centre, and they're going to send it to the local competent authority in Ireland.
What's to stop them from using this to find out, I don't know, our political allegiances?
See, this is the problem. So when you start using mass surveillance, when you start bringing in mass surveillance, where does it stop? They're using it under the guise of trying to prevent child sexual abuse material being shared or grooming and all this on the internet, from devices, which I can absolutely understand to a certain level. However, there's nothing to stop an authoritarian government deciding, oh, do you know what? We might start scanning for political views, or if there's activists out there, we might start scanning for that. There's nothing. That's the problem. Like, I know from a data protection process, you have to have a lawful purpose. You can only use the data for the purpose that you intend. But at government levels and at a Europe-wide level, there's nothing to stop them changing the purpose. Like, we've seen this piece of legislation being worked on that has gone completely under the radar of most of the general populace. People don't know about it.
And you would put this up there as one of the most important pieces of legislation.
This is hugely important. This is a complete violation of the European Court of Human Rights. So a violation to our privacy and the protection of our information. It's completely a violation to our private life. So when people send a communication, so I'd send a communication, it might be to my husband going, I'm going to kill the kids, they never be on WhatsApp or whatever. They never put the bins out or whatever. You know what I mean? Is that going to be swept up? What the technology they're going to use isn't tested technology. AI is either going to use AI to look for, say, particular word vectors, or they're going to use AI to look for imagery that you send from your device. So AI isn't evolved enough. AI will produce false positives.
So you could get pictures of your grandkids sent you in the swimming pool, or and that would alert.
That could alert.
Or could alert.
Could alert. Yeah, create alert. Again, I don't know. Like, this is all, they're talking about using better technology when the better technology really doesn't exist. So they're bringing in a law that requires very specialised technology and oversight and human oversight. But yet, that isn't created yet.
And Paula, when you say they, who are they?
It's the Europeans. So basically, it's coming from Europe. So it's the Danish. The Danes are currently holding the presidency of Europe. So it's the Parliament currently agreeing this pre-proposal for this, and the Danish sitting representatives have looked at it. It's currently in a state now where they have made some changes to it, and I'll explain the changes in a minute. They have made some changes to it, and either it was meant to be yesterday or could be today. They're going to move it forward for trilogue conversation, to move it forward into actually starting to create some sort of format of a law.
You corrected yourself earlier on when you said every device, and you said you'd explain that. Will you explain that to me?
So politicians are excluded.
What?
Yeah. So it's of matters in relation to matters of security. So, okay, I'm going to try and explain this non-technical, right?
Yes, please.
So client-side scanning is a tool that you can put on a device at the operating system level, okay? The problem it creates is a backdoor. It allows things to be seen. It creates a backdoor into end-to-end encryption, all right? So it's like someone opening the door a little bit, okay, into your private world. And that's what it does. The politicians don't want that because they're basing it on national security. So they don't want any chance that a bad actor, the bad guys, could get in through that small slip of a door and get into systems or get into stuff. So the politicians are, we're not involved, and other people, other organisations involved in security and government.
But that in itself, Paula, is an acknowledgement that this is porous in some way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We saw it in the US. I think it was last year. A report came out that a major US telecom communication companies were impacted by a state actor, a Chinese state actor event or cyber event. And the reason being is because there was a backdoor. Because under FISA and federal law, large operations like telecoms allow the government to come in and check and see if they want to check out somebody on a warrant, okay? Like they want to investigate something. That's what these backdoors are. They are a hugely detrimental to cryptography and end-to-end encryption. It creates a hole. It's like a leaky bucket. That's exactly what it is. So the politicians are saying, well, it's not safe enough. So we're going to be excluded. So, but everybody else in Europe, 450 million people in Europe,
it's safe for you.
Safe for that.
Yeah.
So I know from the society I'm involved in, the Irish Computer Society, and I mean we have experts in this, and also to our affiliate in Europe, CPIS. They're saying this is so dangerous, so dangerous. Do not do it. On the other side as well, is which I find is kind of really strange, is that Europe is bringing in cybersecurity laws saying that organisations need to use cryptography and end-to-end encryption. Yet on the other side of the equation, they're saying, oh no, let's break encryption. Let's allow people and bad actors into our devices at a device level. And the worst thing is the bad actors they're trying to protect children from are going to be probably the bad actors who are going to get through that slip of a door and infiltrate your system and your information.
It's incredible. I'm getting more and more afraid as well about AI, and I know you're going to organise a piece for us where we might be able to get to grips on that whole thing. But I mean, the imposition of AI on this as well, I would see as being huge.
Yeah, because like if you're going to be using, can you imagine the volume of data that's going to be coming into the likes of Meta or, all these big players, right? Sweeps of data, huge amount of data comes in from devices all the time, be it stored on their systems or moving through their systems. AI is now going to be AI, or they're going to use a large language model to create an ability for them to see or identify images of child sexual abuse or text words associated to child sexual abuse. We know AI is not there yet. Any expert you speak to will tell you AI is not there yet. So what's going to happen is it's going to look for things and create false positives. We're going to have people who are technically not doing anything wrong being called out on this. And that's the problem. Now, just to bring us forward to where we are today. So I've been watching this for a couple of years, more or less. I say about 2 years now, and I've been watching it creep through and keeping an eye on it. And, you know, there has gone through different iterations. Like originally when they were bringing it in, they were applying detection orders where it didn't require warrant. In fact, it didn't even have a kind of legal infrastructure behind it, and they had to take that out because they were told you can't do that. Okay, and then they had stipulated on their original the version of the previous version of the proposal is that it was mandatory for all organisations like the Metas, like the Googles, like the Apples to do this. And because activism and because people like ourselves pushed back, they removed the mandatory obligation. However, they have still said if you're a high-risk organisation, such as a WhatsApp or a Signal, you will, we'll expect all organisations to voluntarily provide it, but if you're high risk, you really need to provide it. So that's a de facto mandatory position. They'll still have to provide it.
Why are we in this country holding up our hands and being the good boys and girls once again and saying, yeah, we're for this without interrogating it properly?
Because I actually don't think they understand it. I'm being honest.
You had a word with
I did
Martin.
Now. I probably shouldn't, but when do you actually get an opportunity to meet the Taoiseach? I'm fond of him. I like him. You know what I mean? And I said, we're at an event there. We're at the Chambers event. They're probably going to kill me. And I said, he's there. I'm going to walk him out. He was heading home anyway, and he'd done a fabulous speech and everything. He was amazing. And I said, I'll walk him out to the hall. I'll keep him company. And I just mentioned it to him, and I don't really think he was very happy with me.
Was he not?
Because I did say Ireland needs to change its position in relation to client-side scanning, aka chat control. I said it's not good for Ireland to take this position. I don't believe the Irish people are fully aware of what's going on, and you need to change your mind on it.
But this is so complex. Are you assured that even the government realises what's at play here?
I don't know. Like, I would hope they have really good advisors, but based, I'm not, he's the Taoiseach, he's not going to know everything. He's going to have people behind writing stuff. But this is fundamentally huge. This is like, I even looked at our constitution to see what's a constitutional impact. And our constitution says you have the right to be left alone. You know what I mean? However, there is caveats in our constitution where you haven't got the right to be left alone if there's a moral issue.
Okay.
And I would foresee that the Irish government will rely on the fact that child sexual abuse material online
could be viewed. That. Yeah.
But we need to look at that because, like, I was looking at the statistics coming in relation to child sexual abuse material coming into An Garda Síochána. I think it was only in 2020, there was like 20% of the material that came in was actually child sexual abuse material. Now, if they bring this in, we're going to see the information flowing to An Garda Síochána, who are the ones who are going to have to manage this, increasing by 354%.
Wow.
Are they going to manage it?
Well, where will they have the personnel to do it?
Exactly. So now you've got overwhelmed people when the bad actors are still out there doing something. And be under no illusion, even if CSS chat control comes in, the bad actors are going to go to ground. So all you're doing is creating more risk for children, because you can go out and create your own system. You can go into open source and you purchase, partial operating systems. I'm not going to mention companies, but some people would know who they are. And then you can switch off the modules that you don't want. You buy your hardware. Remember, this is at device level. It's not internet based. It's at device level. It's scanning at device level. So all of a sudden, you and your bad actor friends who want to abuse children now can create your own system, your own private network.
Right. But in the meantime, then, we have this system, this initiative imposed on all of her.
Yeah, 450 million people.
Whereas these other people, as you say, will find a way around this.
Yeah. So remember, it's not just the individual, it's also going to impact commercial entities. So you're not exempt. Law firms, you're not exempt. Medical professionals, you're not exempt. I haven't seen an exemption list.
So potentially any law firm correspondence, for example?
Yeah.
Wow.
They often use end-to-end encryption, especially communicating with their clients which you would, professional secrecy. I haven't seen any list of companies or organisations or profile of an organisation that would be exempt. Imagine
only politicians.
Only politicians and potentially security, so police and all, other factors like that, where they would be deemed security of the nation. So, like, I know the Netherlands, I think it was the Netherlands, their actual security guys came out and said, you cannot put this in. This is detrimental to our country. This is such a risk. So,
and the Germans are saying similar.
The Germans are saying they also have kind of privacy issues and constitutional issues. And let's to be honest, if I was to take you back when I'm training on data protection, I talk to people about, you just have to go back to what happened during the Second World War and the abuse of information when a bad actor got hold of information and how they use that information
and manipulate information
to move it forward.
Yes.
So basically that's it. So your privacy is being impacted. They're going to violate the very foundation of Europe on our Charter of Fundamental Rights. They're going to violate and potentially cause irreparable damage to end-to-end encryption, to cryptography by creating these backdoors. And they're doing it under a guise of something that is very important. So even when I felt when I was talking about this with other organisations and other people, I always take a step back and go, I feel really uncomfortable saying I'm against it because of what it's there to protect against, but it's not going to protect children. Another thing is, and you need to be aware of this as a well-known journalist and person on the radio, is that age verification is required for everybody who wants to use these systems, and they're not going to allow children use the systems either. So if you wanted to be anonymous, that's gone. So there's none of this. Your source could be exposed. So you've got a tip off. A whistleblower could be impacted. We saw during COVID that, these end-to-end encrypted tools were used predominantly very around domestic abuse and providing safety to people and giving them information where they could find safety during some very difficult times. That's all going to be exposed.
This is frightening stuff.
It gets even worse. I'm going to bring you on to the next layer. So Europe has passed this law. Ireland said, yes, this sounds fabulous. Now they've created this big EU centre.
Well, they haven't passed it yet, but when they pass it is
when, and there's political pressure on this, and we'll talk about that. So they've created this big EU centre. You're going to need databases and systems and, all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
They're going to have to get third-party companies in to create these for them. Europe is not going to have a little silo and close it off and build it themselves. So they're going to be going out to third-party companies to create these systems. So now you have a huge big database of information pertaining to everybody in Europe that I would say some bad actor or state actor would love to get at. And as I said, once you have data in a place where it's like, the gold of the data pile, someone is going to try and infiltrate it and get the information. How secure will it be? How secure is this level of our data, which is meant to be protected, going to be secure?
People listening to us, what can we do about this? Can we do anything about this?
You can speak to your local representative. You can log on to fightchatcontrol.eu. It has details of absolutely everything to do with chat control in there. That you can even generate a letter that you can send to your local politician or your MEP, and it can be sent off directly for you. So you need to get out and say no. There is better ways of dealing with child sexual abuse material. There is, you know what I mean? But it just requires more thought and better action. Why do we want to use mass surveillance on everybody in Europe? And this is where my concern is. We have seen a shift. And I know from a data protection perspective, I have seen a shift in how the EU looks at data and how it's portrayed. We have changes coming to the GDPR that have been proposed, which are really reducing the protections for individuals. We see chat control coming in. We see changes and delays to the deployment of AI regulation for high risk. And we see changes to AI coming into the place, reducing the protection for people's information. Why? We're competing.
Answer your own question.
Exactly.
Why,
It's
Paula?
competition. We're competing. We want to compete on the stage. Look at all the organisations that are based in Europe and Ireland alone. America, is saying the Europe is over-regulated. Are we listening to them and saying maybe we are?
Do you know, I know it's overused, but it's Orwellian, isn't it?
It is, yeah,
it's central
absolutely.
control.
It's so scary when you think of this level of man. We're surveilled anyway. There is measures already in place around information sharing on the internet in relation to child sex abuse material. That's already happening. This is where this information comes from. But at this level, you cannot do it. It cannot be allowed. It really cannot be allowed. It needs to be stopped. And breaking encryption, while on the other hand bringing in a law talking about encryption, I think there's something fundamentally starting to worry me about Europe.
Paula, I have to leave it there, but that was so important to hear that this morning. And I know, as I say, you are going to come back to us with some information on AI, which, I mean, I heard a programme on this recently. We have to find out more about this. This is really
it's scary.
Life-changing stuff.
The Irish Computer Society has set up a new kind of special interest group just to deal with AI, and it deals with both the development of AI and the ethics of AI. It's headed up by Dr. Muriel Maloney, and she's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to bring her in for a visit, and she'll fill you in all about AI.
We're looking forward to that. Paula, thank you so much. Lovely to see you as always, and thanks, you.
Fran.
That's Paula Carney-Hoffler, Data Protection Officer and President of the Irish Computer Society. Back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, puck on. See slatterysgarage.ie.
And you're welcome back to Tip Today. It was a real eye-opener, that piece there with Paula, I'm sure you'll agree. Now, earlier on this week, the Social Democrats' Deputy Aidan Farrelly joined us on the show after he put forward a bill in the Dáil as to whether referendums should be held to reduce the voting age to 16. Now, John was in touch and joins me now. Good morning to you, John.
Hi, good morning there, Fan. How are you doing?
I'm well, John. Great to talk to you. You have said to us that the Soc Dems must have little to be bothered about, John.
I think that's a fairly good indication of my point of view relating to them. They seem to be the student union party that's in the Dáil at present and kind of grasp kind of issues that are non-issues and kind of run with them and think it's very important when I'd imagine 90-something% of the population really doesn't have an opinion one way or another on kind of under 16 voting, or sorry, between 16-year-olds voting, because, you know, they're just too young, in my opinion, anyway.
And Aidan Farrelly, he said to me, if 16-year-olds can work 40 hours a week, it's only fair that we allow them to have a say in who governs them. And he goes on to say that, you know, a teenager can work 40 hours a week, pay associated taxes, obtain a dog licence, consent to medical treatment, and at 17 then, of course, legally drive an 8-seater car. So that is what he's putting forward as his argument.
I doubt very much, Fran, that many 16-year-olds are working a 40-hour week. I really doubt it. And there's a lot of other things they can't do until they get to 18. They can't serve on a jury. They can't enter a contract. They can't get a tattoo.
And in the courts, they're viewed as a child, aren't they, still at 16? Yeah.
Legal adulthood begins at 18 in this country, and you have to kind of have some kind of marker for it. Like, I asked my daughter, she's 17, I asked her what her opinion was on 16-year-olds voting, because she's actually part of that cohort of people that would, and she said, absolutely no way. She said, they haven't a clue. She's talking about herself, her friends, people like that, and she was of the opinion, absolutely no way.
And is that because, John, that they have just no interest in this, or what? Or does she feel that they're not qualified to vote?
She would kind of feel that they're not qualified because I think a lot of kids are just, they're having their own lives. They're getting on with school and stuff like this. And I actually thought, you know, when your man, was it Farrelly, did you say?
Yeah, Aidan Farrelly, yes. He's in Kildare. He's a Social Democrat.
Kildare.
Yeah.
And I kind of think back to, like, 18 has been there for probably since 1920. And back in my father's era, not that long ago, people were leaving school at 13, 14. They were working hard. And, you know, they had real responsibilities. Like the average 16-year-old now has no responsibilities compared to a generation or two ago.
That's interesting, because you said to Leanne that you're of the belief, John, that young people nowadays, that they have a lot less of that lived experience than a generation ago, as you described to me there. And do you think that's part of the reason why you think they're not qualified to vote and make it? That's interesting.
Absolutely. Because you think of the average 18-year-old now, they have a very closeted lifestyle compared to people who were brought up 70s, 80s, even before that. Like a lot of people were going out to work at 13 and it was 40 hours plus and very little pay. And usually they'd probably have to give the pay up when they went home to kind of keep their other family members fed. Like nowadays, you know, there's no comparison to the closeted kind of childhood that most children have nowadays.
And when you speak about them being closeted, what do you mean? Is that because of social media and because of, you know, that they're more isolated, I suppose, nowadays?
There's an element of that, Fran, but they just have a much easier life. That kind of thing. Like they have to worry about kind of completely different things than the previous generation. They're probably more self-indulgent.
They have, John, but they're no happier, you know.
I would agree with you there, Fran. Yeah. I would agree with you. I think there's huge pressure on children nowadays to kind of conform and to be part of, you know, they don't want to stand out from the group. And I actually think that it's even more so with boys. There's a kind of tendency, we'll all kind of be the same. We'll all have the same haircuts. We'll all have the kind of same look.
But was that not always there, John? Did we all sort of conform to whatever the fashion of the day was, to some degree, in that our pocket would allow years ago?
I think that when you say the pocket will allow, Fran, that was a kind of very, very big thing. Yeah, there probably always was. But I think there's probably, with the whole world we live in now of social media and all of this, there probably is more kind of... it's harder for kids to kind of stand out because it can be kind of, you know, with kind of bullying and with kind of social media and stuff. It's harder for them to kind of, you know, be an individual in a lot of ways.
Do I gather from some of what you said to me there, you're not a fan of the Social Democrats? I'm gathering.
I absolutely am not a fan. Of all the parties in the Dáil, they would be my least favourite. Because I think there are people from usually very well-to-do backgrounds who are kind of like to talk down to other people when a lot of them have never had a real life experience in a lot of ways.
Do you think they're champagne socialists?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Champagne socialists and probably a second house in the French Riviera to go with.
Well, I'm sure there's some ordinary people in the South Thames as well.
I'm sure there is, but I haven't come across any yet.
Yeah.
So they're kind of a bit
well, you know,
unusual.
Holly Carton seems to be the darling of RTE and stuff, you know. So.
It's beyond me, Fran. It's absolutely beyond me. I kind of go, this girl is kind of, why is she getting so much kind of attention? It's kind of fawning attention. I believe a couple of weeks ago she was on the Late Late Show.
She was, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be looking at the Late Show. I've kind of given up on looking at that because it's kind of one-way traffic on that. Yeah. Whereas if you go to Tipp, you can get different viewpoints. But like the falling over Holly Carnes is kind of beyond me.
Yeah, the tweet was interesting. You know, Holly's in the house. It's just real kind of... I don't know. But anyway, I better stop criticising RTE. Yeah. You're an accountant, John, are you?
That's right, yeah.
Give us a view on Pascal Donoghue and legacy and all that. What do you make of him stepping down?
Well, he seems to have kind of risen to the sainthood when it comes to the financial world. And I really don't understand it. It's actually beyond me, Fran, because even yesterday they were saying, oh, prudent Pascal, all this thing. And then I was on the RTE News last night. Budget overspend of 4.1 billion last year, or relating to this year. Like, that's a massive overspend. I think it was something like 8 billion of an increase.
Well, I think the point they were making is that there would have even been a bigger overspend only for Pascal reined it into some degree because the politicians, the ministers, were scrambling for even more of a spend. So.
I would argue the opposite, Fran, to be honest. He's the man that controls the money, and the buck stops with him. He's there long enough. So basically, in this country, compared to last year, we've spent an extra 12 billion, and I don't see any value whatsoever for money for that.
Yeah, well, the cost of living has gone through the roof, and, I suppose...
But that's... Like, where has this money gone?
Yeah.
12 billion. Like, I saw 580 million extra spent on education. I'm kind of going, where? You're kind of looking for value for money, and then you're kind of going, like, this is... Well, whether you like it or not, Pascal Donoghue has been involved in the finance for years, and you look at all the waste that's gone on. The Children's Hospital is still not built. I don't know what, 4 times the cost of it originally. Bike sheds that cost hundreds of thousands. And like, the squandering of money has to be on a kind of ginormous level.
And you reckon that was under his watch?
Well, he is the man. He's been in finance for 14 years. I'm sure he's done some good things in it. But this kind of level of kind of adulation of him is just beyond me.
All right, John, great to talk to you, John, and thanks very much for coming on with us. Most interesting, John. Thank you and good morning to you. That's John, how he feels. How do you feel about those particular subjects? We'd love to hear from you. 083 311 3311.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puck On. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Join the conversation in Tipperary. Contact us through Facebook, Twitter, or email tiptoday@tippfm.com.
Now, research has been conducted into the history of Damer House in Roscrea and also Roscrea Castle. They're on the same campus there, of course. Now, the research is led by independent researcher Gillian Hogan, who joins me now. Gillian, good morning for you.
Hi, Fran. How are you?
I'm well, Gillian. Good to talk to you today. You are appealing for some help with research. What kind of research are you doing?
Well, at the moment, I'm doing some research into the history of Damer House, and it was built by John Damer in 1722. So we're looking for some information about the inhabitants that were in Damer House from around that time. We know that there were certain tenants living there. The Damers actually never lived in Damer House.
Did they
were
not? I didn't realise that.
No,
Wow.
they didn't.
Oh.
They didn't. There were allegedly there were 4 tenants living there at the time, or in the late from 1722 up until 1798. Local businessman, a member, a Quaker, the Bishop of Killaloe, Nicholas Singh, and William Goulding, who was supposed to be a member of the local yeomanry. So in around 1798, the British military bought Damer House and turned it into a barracks. So I am actually looking for, if anyone has information about the relationship between the locals in Roscrea and the British military who lived in the barracks.
So you're looking for photographs, documents, that type of thing, Gillian, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, letters, stories. I mean, it is a long time ago, so
sure, yeah.
I am aware. But I'm also looking for, information around when the Irish Free State took the barracks over, and so the Free State had a barracks here as well. And then Damer House became a school, sanatorium, which I'm looking for information on. I know
was that a TB? Was that a TB sanatorium?
Yeah, no, I know there was one in Roscrea Workhouse. It was referred to as the SAN, but there are stories that there was a sanatorium in Damer House as well. Yeah. So if anyone would have any information about that, that would be fantastic. And then also after that, there was a vocational school, a library. The Tipperary County Council had its head office here as well. And then in 1973, it became very dilapidated after that, after it was empty. And it was voted to be demolished in 1973. They were going to turn it into a car park and a swimming pool.
Are you serious?
No. Yeah, they were. But thankfully, Roscrea Heritage Society stepped in, and them, along with the Irish Georgian Society, they rescued the house and started conservation work and rebuilding and restoration.
Now, to my eye, it looks like a gorgeous building, but is it important from an archaeology point of view?
Yes, the castle in particular would be important.
Sorry, I meant an architectural point of view. I beg your pardon.
Now. Oh,
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the few. It's Queen Anne style architecture. So actually, there's a staircase in it, and there's only two types of staircase in the country. It's hand carved. It's beautiful. It was hidden under layers of paint for years and years, and that actually saved the wood underneath.
Yes.
So that was a good thing, really, that it was painted over. So
it's interesting. So if people out there have the kind of information you're looking for, Gillian, how can they make contact with you, or how can they get involved?
Yeah, well, I can give you my email address.
Yes, please.
And it's Hogan GI at TCD .ie.
Okay, so Hogan GI at TCD.ie. Yeah.
Yes, and my phone number as well. I can give my phone
please.
number.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 087 746 0229.
Okay, so that's 087 746 0229, and that email again is hogangi at tcd.ie. Now, I presume if people are kind enough to give you items, they'll get them back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they'll be taken care of. They'll be treated with kid gloves, and I will return them. Absolutely.
Right. Are you able to give us any information of what this will result in? Are we talking about a publication here, or what are we talking about, Gillian?
No, Damer House received some funding, some European Union funding, to have a new visitor experience. So there'll be a new visitor experience in the castle and the house. So I was asked just to do some research into, for this.
Yes.
So this would be coming down the line maybe in a year or two. So it'll be a new visitor experience for the house and the castle.
It's very. And are you from Roscrea, Gillian?
I'm not from Roscrea.
Yeah.
I have family living here, but I suppose I got interested in it because I did a Heritage Skills and Studies course, and I ended up working in the Kelly collection in Damer House, which is on the top floor. And through working there, I met with the members of the RHS Society, Pamela and Esther and Charles. So I got to know them quite well, and they were really kind enough to give me access to their archives.
So I'm sure you'll agree with me then in saying it's one of the best kept secrets, really. Far more people should know about Damer House and the wonderful Roscrea Castle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They're gems. you know, and it would be hoped that these new experiences will bring more tourists into the town and more footfall.
Well, for sure. Gillian, lovely to talk to you. We wish you the very best with your research, and thanks for your time this morning.
Okay.
Thank you. Good
Thanks
morning.
very much, Fran.
Good morning to you. That's it.
Fran,
Yes,
could I just
Gillian.
say one more?
Sure.
I sent in a print of Castle Street from 1790. And
Yes.
I'm just wondering if any of your listeners would have any information on it.
Well, we're going to put it up. Leanne tells me we're going to put it up on our Facebook platform. So
that'd be great.
We'll see what we get on that. Good to talk to you, Gillian. Thanks very much indeed. That's Gillian Hogan there. And again, if you want to make contact with her, if you have any documents or photographs or indeed anecdotes from the early years of Damer House, 087 746 0229 or email hogangi@tcd.ie.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Good Pats, and welcome back to the final hour of Tip Today. Huge reaction to so many different aspects of the show this morning, but Paula was talking to us there about that new legislation that is happening in Europe at the moment. That's very kind of scary indeed. But Austin was on to us and he said, you don't think it's already happening 100%, Fran? All this does is give government the data. The IT companies already have it and nobody's really policing them. Mass surveillance is already here. If you think the IT companies don't have the data already, you're very, very green. Meta, Google and X of this world, they know everything. Meta already owns Instagram, Facebook and WhatsApp. And even if you don't download their app or give them your phone number, one of your friends will download the app, share your name and your details with them. Alexa in the homes already recording your conversations. LG televisions recording conversations. If you turn on Samsung phones on airplane mode, Samsung can still locate it and turn it on and highlight its position. So even in airplane mode, it's not exactly offline. If you buy a PC today, there's no on-off switch, just a click to indicate it's supposed to be on and off. All your stuff on new PCs gets directed into the cloud rather than local storage. The horse as well and truly already bolted. I just bought a new digital kettle last week and I'm very suspicious of it, says Austin to us today. Well, there you go. A little bit of humour at the end. You can't beat it. Now, it's time for our health slot. Delighted to be joined in the studio by Muriel and Charlotte. Good morning to you both. And, the C word, Christmas is, what is it, 5 weeks away, is it?
4, isn't it? 4 at this
4
stage.
weeks, is it?
Today's the 20th.
Right, so 4 weeks away. So we're going to look today at maybe how we could look after ourselves, I suppose, on this run-up to Christmas. Well, I start with you, Muriel. What do you say? A lot of people coming into you in the last few days, are they looking for some quick fix or something?
Yeah, well, I suppose I've a lot of new people coming in even in the last week or two. And when somebody comes into me at this stage of the year, you're kind of, I suppose, it wouldn't have been done 2 or 3 years ago. Most people would wait until January and do the goals and all that kind of thing in January. But more people are becoming more aware. Like Christmas is in the middle, and I suppose to be well is one of the biggest things, isn't it? And so many people are unwell at the minute. So, yeah, what can I do with them in the space of 4 weeks that I can kind of turn that around, that you're not looking at heading into A&E Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve or going to...
What can you do, Muriel? Because I would have thought at this point of the year we'd say, sure, look, fecked, we'll have a party between now and Christmas and we'll look after it all in the new year. That used to be the way that we would
Well,
think.
you see, it used to be the way, but people now are more concerned about themselves. They're definitely, like, if they feel there's an issue or whatever, how many people have serious things happen to in their 50s in the last whatever month or 6 weeks even locally that we would know of. So that's out there all the time, so it's in your head. For me, the bloods are probably number one, to actually see is there anything in the bloods that is highly inflammatory that you need to work on immediately, right? And after that, even if somebody didn't come into me, I always talk about the 5 pillars. So the 5 pillars, and I'm literally like in my sleep, if anybody's listening to me, like the nutrition, hydration, exercise, sleep and stress. They're the 5 pillars in anybody's world. And I was at the Functional Medicine Conference in Dublin the week before last. There was probably about 16 professors, right? They only hold it in Dublin once every 4 years or something. There was probably about 16 professors in from all over the world. And they were talking about everything like thyroid health and cancers and diabetic and cardiac, all the different things and all the medicated side. But the medicated side will work on one level. But if you're not doing the 5 pillars on the other side, the medicated side isn't even going to hold its own over a long period of time.
So it has to be holistic, as they say.
You have to.
So
for the next 4 weeks even, if you're talking about the holistic side, if you can eat a little bit more well, so you're just like so many people coming in for and eat no breakfast. And by the time they get to lunchtime, they're so hungry. And by the time they get home in the evening time, they're eating all evening to compensate for not having breakfast. So like, have your breakfast. 10% of people, only 10% of people drink enough water, that they're properly hydrated. Water controls every single system in the body, like your body temperature, your blood pressure, like moving food through the gut. Every single thing is water. So simplify, drink your water. 2 litres a day, try and get in, even if it's out of the kettle. Like even if you dip the tea bag in and that's the way you want to drink it, drink the water. The exercise, it doesn't have to be a big deal. It can be 10 minutes. The simplest way to add in exercise, if you're not doing anything at the minute, is do a 10-minute walk after your dinner in the evening. It's proven time and time again to cut your blood sugar spikes in half at that hour of the day. So if you get up and just walk around the house for 10 minutes, outside the house even or whatever, then straight away your insulin levels and everything are coming down. So those 3 things help you sleep. So then if you can sleep a little bit more well, straight away the 4 have fed into the stress. So your stress levels, even if they don't come down, you can manage them. You actually start to see the wood from the trees, so to speak, in relation to what really needs to be done or not. Does that make sense? So
it does indeed. And I was reading about this happiness index, and seemingly Ireland is beginning to really sort of pummel down that particular index. Would that be your experience? Are people finding life difficult in general?
We talk about it in the clinic all the time. Like every evening when I finish, even with Charlotte, like she'll even say to me, that was a tough day. Like people are definitely, I don't know, they're unwell. They're not in good form. Yeah, they're stressed. Stress is probably one of the biggest ones. But where's the stress coming from? I think financial is probably massive, to be honest with you. Everybody...
Cost of living.
Cost of living is just... And then we take on so much. Like how many people actually know how to relax and how to switch off, etc. And if you're not doing that, and I talk about that, like I can't do the lifestyle side, I can't do the nutrition and everything if I don't talk about lifestyle, as in the stress. Where's your downtime? How do you come down? Do you take a weekend off? All of that. Like, so we're trying to do a million different things. And in Ireland, we don't get the weather either. So if we don't have the weather that you're not out in the morning, that you can sit on the sidewalk and have a cup of coffee, you're not getting the endorphins or the adrenaline. So where do you get it from?
Muriel, is this right across the demographic?
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is from young people up to mature people.
It doesn't really matter what age.
Yes.
And if you're doing things wrong, that you're not getting even the health side of it right, you're going to feel more unwell. Your system does come down. Once somebody has even done one session with me and they listen to what I'm telling them to do, and they even do it within 50%, 50 or 60%, straight away the world starts lifting. Because if you nourish the body properly, the body's going to start feeling a bit better. The things I said to you, if you exercise, like I was in the gym this morning, did I want to go? It was the last place I wanted to go today.
On a cold morning.
Cold morning, and I was tired, So even to go in and lift a weight, yeah, it was the last thing.
But you felt better.
But the minute I came out, the minute I even lifted the first weight, and I always say that to myself, you don't have to kill it. Just go in and do 20 minutes. Just go in and do whatever. Like Charlotte was out walking this morning, and like her feet are so sore, she finds it so hard to walk. But it lifts your mood that the day runs so much easier for you. And even people will say to me, how do you manage to eat well? Like you just, it's easy for you, like, and you're just whatever.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Like if I've overeaten all weekend, like I don't want to be eating like my eggs the first thing on a Monday morning. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd love to go off down and have whatever, the sausage roll or whatever, but I know if I eat the wrong stuff, that level of saturated fat or whatever will make me feel awful. So then my day starts on that whatever downer. So yeah.
Charlotte, you look after the aesthetic end of it, I suppose. What are people coming to you? I mean, is Christmas their goal? We want to look great for the Christmas parties and the outings and all of that. Is that what you're hearing at the moment?
That's what I'm hearing at the moment. Can I just come back to something that Muriel said there?
Yeah,
I think the most important thing for looking and feeling well is surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah.
If you want to look well and you want to feel well, you've got to be around men or women that also have that same end goal in mind.
That's very interesting.
Because if you don't, you find yourself in a position where you have to start justifying your lifestyle choices. I saw your Instagram story. You're in the gym at 6:30 this morning. You're mad. What are you doing that for? Would you not have a lie down for yourself? I'd never do that. And it becomes a lonely place. And it's the same with aesthetics. You've got to find women that are supportive of your choices, because if you don't, it's a very them and us type of thing. So I do notice with most of the women that are coming into us, or some of the new ladies that are kind of converting across to us, we're providing that level of support on both the health and the aesthetic side, where it is that safe space, and we're championing those women. They're often WhatsApping myself and Muriel, I'm in the gym, I'm walking, I bought this moisturiser, I got such and such a thing done, and we're supporting their lifestyle choices. And I think if you don't have those men or women in your circle, go out and find them. Those groups of people you see walking the ring road at 6:30 in the morning in the gym, like Muriel, go over to them and say, listen, I just need someone to walk with in the morning. Can I join your gang? Like, the fitness and the aesthetic community is very welcoming. No one's going to be like, no, you can't walk with us, you weirdo.
It's
Find
very,
your people.
Very interesting, because I know that, particularly where men are concerned, I mean, if, for instance, if you're off the drink and you're in a pub, people immediately assume you're on antibiotics
you're an
or
alien.
something. I mean, why are you off the drink?
Yeah.
You'll be grand, take that there.
Yes.
So you're saying we need the right people around us and in our circle.
We need the right people around us, because quite often people come into our clinic and maybe they don't necessarily have a specific goal in mind. They just know that they want to look and feel well, but they don't know how to go about that. So that's what myself and Muriel do. We'll point them in the right direction. So Muriel obviously is on the health side, but with me it might be something as basic as skin health. I have a rash, my skin is dry, I'm having these issues with my hair. Where do I go? What do I do? And that's kind of the start of the journey. Often they don't have a very specific goal in mind, but we put a plan in place for them. But I think the support is the biggest thing, that they can come into a clinic where they're not judged. Like, if Muriel says to me, I'm in the gym at 4 a.m, I'm like, fantastic, you've had the most wonderful start to your day. I'm not judging her. It's the same with aesthetics. If people are coming in to get treatments done, they know it's a safe space. Whereas they mightn't have anyone in their world like that they can say, I've had this thing done, I've had that thing done, without judgment. So I just think that's really important to say.
It's interesting. So there's a little over 4 weeks to go then. I mean, what do you say if somebody comes into you and say, look, I'm a bit tired, I feel the skin is a bit sort of dry and saggy, I want to look great for the Christmas party or whatever. What do you say to them? Where do you even begin, Charlotte?
I keep it really basic, and I start with a skin analysis. I never take what I call, an aesthetic virgin and just start injecting them. I always start with the basics, which is a comprehensive skin analysis, which comprises a digital skin analysis, much like Muriel's body composition analysis, nutrition and lifestyle assessment. Then I'll put a skincare plan in place for them. And then once we have the skincare done, because that for me is the foundation of any aesthetic routine, is your skincare routine. Once we have the nutrition nailed, then we can move on to some of the more mild treatments like a chemical skin peel, which is fantastic. It's not going to leave you with anything visible when you walk away. No one's going to know that you've had a treatment. It's not invasive, and it's just a lovely regenerative, restorative treatment for anyone with any skin type of any age, and it's really affordable. So that's something you can do between now and Christmas. It's just going to give your skin a lovely boost and a glow and hydration in a very natural way.
Interesting, because I often hear women talk about that glow, that notion of a glow. What exactly is that, by the way?
A glow is when someone is healthy. Like, quite often we forget that our skin is an organ. It's a vital organ. If you think about it, it doesn't just provide a physical barrier to all of our organs. It's also a chemical barrier. So, we have an acid mantle that helps to protect us from invading pathogens, bacteria, virus, fungi. If our skin isn't healthy, it can't do that. And that's when you get the eczema and the dermatitis, and you get bacterial rashes and infections. So skin health is as paramount as the aesthetic side of skincare. So when our skin is healthy and glowing, we know that we have a healthy acid mantle. It's going to help protect us, particularly this time of year when we are, subject to bacteria, viruses, fungus. We don't want those things. So skin health is paramount. The glow is an indication that your skin is healthy and everything looks as it should.
Tell me about the eyes, because I always feel that, the eyes, they're mirror to the soul, but also a good indication as to how you're feeling, how your health is, whether you've been out all night, getting enough sleep, all of that. What can people do about that?
Yeah, so one of the key things that I see most is bags under the eyes. So quite a lot of the time that can be a lymphatic drainage issue, which is something that we can deal with.
Is it?
Yeah, very commonly. We have a lot of lymph nodes in this area. And if our diet isn't where it needs to be, if our sleep isn't where it needs to be, quite often these lymph nodes can be blocked, and then we get fluid retention under the eyes, and we have to massage it away using the correct products. Sometimes it can be collagen loss, sometimes it can be tiredness, sometimes it can be dehydration. There's different reasons why we have dark circles or bags under our eyes. So what works for one person won't work for another. That's why a skin analysis is really pivotal to treating that.
It's very interesting. And the colour of the eye, the white of the eye, because mine is always bloodshot. What about doing something about that? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's lifestyle. Even sometimes I can tell if someone has high cholesterol. They have what we call xanthelasma. It's a collection of little kind of almost like yellow lumps around the eyes. So lifestyle is massive. Like they say the eyes are the window to the soul, and they are. We can tell so much about a person's health just by looking at their eyes.
It's interesting, yeah. And of course, everything you do plays into exactly what we're talking about there, I guess.
It totally crosses over. So when somebody even comes to me on the health side, they'll cross into Charlotte afterwards, but they might even like straight away. It could be like a toe fungus. It could be, you know, when I'm doing again, going back to the functional medicine conference, they had this list of questions that as a practitioner we should ask. They were all the questions I'm already asking. Because you ask things like, you know, have you rosacea, have you eczema? You know, tongue. I probably never looked at your tongue, Fran, but you're looking at somebody's tongue. You're looking at their gums. You're asking about their eye health. You're asking like about blood vision, floaters in front of their eyes, pins and needles in their fingers. Everything crosses over.
I tick so many of those boxes.
I know. Restless legs. All of these things, yeah. But yeah, so you're asking the full list of questions. So the full list of questions, like 3 or 4, 7 or 10 people will have 3 or 4 that will directly cross over to Charlotte. So I can do my piece then, and then I hand them over to her and she does her piece. So
it's interesting. And in terms of how you would look at somebody's skin and what they can do, I mean, food-wise, what about that, where skin is concerned?
Well, it all comes from internal. Like, if you were to go back to the very basics, the first thing somebody has to have in their world, and again, the next 3 or 4 weeks, this is so easy, omega-3s. Like, how many times have I said it? Omega-3s is essential fat. The more essential fat you have in your world, that's the anti-inflammatory side. That's the very start. And the more fat you have in your world, the less you want sugar. So if you're eating loads of omega-3s, you're not craving the processed sugar side because it sates. Like it's one of the things that actually stops the appetite. So
Yes.
that along with protein, and omega-3s come in a form of protein anyway, as in your egg is protein and fat, your fish is protein and fat. So like if you do nothing else in the next 3 or 4 weeks, if you actually up your intake of omega-3s, even if you can't get it into your diet, if you supplement, that'll definitely even make a difference. Handful of nuts and seeds or a handful of nuts here and there, you know, the extra virgin olive oil on every single thing, any of the seed oils on things. That's the very basis. You talk about omega-3s all the time, you talk about collagen. People message me all the time, you know, what collagen can I take? The key collagen. They've all these names of collagen. Like, you know, your chicken. I did a piece on social media on this, and like it would like 200,000 people were like looking at it, whatever. It was a cooked chicken in a bag. I took the chicken out of the bag and I pulled the chicken apart and I said, a chicken is supposed to look like this, lads. It's supposed to have veiny bits and stringy bits and all of those kinds of things, and you're supposed to eat all of those bits.
Not your perfect goujons that you see.
Yes,
in,
your Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Literally your perfect Play-Doh, yeah. But this is your collagen. Like you talk about the marine collagen, like comes from fish. You know, like your tuna and your salmon and your sardines or whatever. You don't need to buy it. You don't need the fancy supplements. We can actually eat it if we get it into our diet. So things as simple as that, Fran. That's your skin health.
That's interesting. And the people coming into you, Charlotte, I mean, in terms of what the issues they want you to deal with, how much of it is due to genetics, though? You know, does that play a big part in skin and, you know, all of that?
Yeah, things like psoriasis generally we would see are genetic, or people that have extremely sensitive profiles, or eczema or dermatitis prone. However, lifestyle is a massive factor. Just because there's something in your genetic line doesn't mean that you're 100% going to suffer from that same condition if your lifestyle is very different to that of your family. So lifestyle is huge.
Right, so even if you're predisposed in some way, you needn't trigger that.
Exactly, yeah, if you know what the triggers are. So identifying those triggers are key. So I had a girl in last week who had this rash for over a year. It was driving her mad, didn't know what it was. She was just going crazy. She came in and I did a full Columbo on her. I mean, I asked her every single question, and it turned out that she was working in an air-conditioned environment in Dubai for the last 12 months. And going from a warm, humid climate like Ireland into a cold, dry climate that's air-conditioned 24/7 actually triggered that skin rash in her. It was perioral dermatitis.
And did that not occur to her?
No, because people don't realise that our skin is an organ that we wear on the outside, and it's very sensitive to environmental changes. So even if you were predisposed to something like a dermatitis or an eczema, sometimes you need that trigger, and in her case the trigger was the environmental change.
What about hair? Because you've spoken to me in the past about hair, and again between now and the Christmas party or whatever, if somebody presents themselves to you, what can you do to make their crowning glory more glorious and wonderful?
A diagnosis is where you start. Always a diagnosis. By the time people come to me, they've usually been around the house. There was a chap in during the week, he's had 2 hair transplants. He's tried everything under the sun. And I ask everyone the same question: do you have a formal diagnosis? And they say no. I say, you can't treat hair loss unless you know what the underlying cause is. because you're wasting your money on treatments that potentially are for a form of alopecia that you're not suffering from. So a diagnosis, get your diagnosis. I will then give them a treatment plan. And maybe that treatment plan starts in the new year, which is a good thing because they've time to think about it over Christmas. They're coming in before Christmas. I'm giving them a diagnosis. I'm giving them the plan. They can go away then, think about their time and their budget, and they can start that plan then in January. But diagnosis is where you have to start.
That's very interesting because most men would just figure, sure, look, it's the usual male pattern baldness, but it can be other issues as well.
Yeah, a key one is vitamin D deficiency. People don't realise that vitamin D isn't actually a vitamin, it's a hormone. It's a steroid hormone. So if we don't have enough vitamin D, we can't actually create or maintain our follicles or regulate our hair growth cycle. So it's, I'd say, probably the most important nutrient. And people that are not great at eating fish generally tend to be quite low in vitamin D, especially if they're vegan, they're avoiding dairy products. Their vitamin D is on the floor. And thyroid dysfunction is another one. Either under or overactive thyroid can cause diffuse hair shedding in both men and women. So sometimes it's not male pattern hair loss. We need a kind of a thorough investigation. So that for me is a starting point. Get your diagnosis first. Don't jump into treatment.
Yes, you have a lot of techie stuff there that will indicate what the issue.
I love a bit of tech. It's my favourite. I do, yeah. I have I have a trichoscope, which is a fancy word for like a microscope that we use on the scalp, and it helps me check the follicular health. You know, are those follicles alive? Are they active? Are they still producing hair? Are they gone into a period of dormancy? If they're in a period of dormancy, how long have they been dormant? Can we restore those hair follicles? Just for people to have that information. There are some people that I may not be able to treat, but at least they know going away, okay, this is what I have. It either is treatable or it's not treatable, or to what extent it's treatable. Instead of kind of going around feeling in the dark, spending, possibly thousands of euros on treatments that don't work for them, to get a definitive answer for me, I think it's like it just sets you on the right path.
Very good. If there's women listening and they might like to treat themselves over the next few weeks, they mightn't have anything particularly wrong with them, but they just want to feel a bit better. How would you advise them?
Skin analysis first. I know I'm like a broken record, but I just think that's where you have to start. Come in, let me have a look at your skin under the scope, and I can recommend a treatment plan for you. And it doesn't have to be aesthetic. We don't have to talk about needles. Sometimes it can just be one product that we change in a person's routine that makes all the difference. I would say about 70-ish% of people are using the wrong cleanser. So all these expensive serums and moisturisers that they're using are not being absorbed into their skin because they're not exfoliating properly. So sometimes it's as basic as swapping out your cleanser. So I would say start with a skin analysis, or get someone to buy you a skincare voucher, and then you can use it on any of the treatments that you like.
Very good. How does Muriel feel about extra virgin olive oil? I put a teaspoon into a mug of coffee and a dessert spoon into porridge every day. Is that enough? How does Muriel feel about it?
Fran loves health, doesn't he?
I can only imagine putting it into coffee. Are you off your head?
You can put extra virgin olive oil anywhere you want. You can rub it in your scalp, you can put it on your skin, you can drink it, you can stick it in anything you want, and it is wonderful. Right. It's wonderful. There's actually a really, I'm not able to talk about brands. I want to say like a very cost effective one somewhere, but anyway, we'll just leave it be. Follow my story.
Somebody wondering, this is kind of off centre, wondering could Muriel or Charlotte speak to us about snoring? And maybe get some information about that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, overweight is one of the big things. Obesity, like that, that literally is one of the main underlying causes of somebody snoring.
Yes.
If they're lying on their back and their airways block and that kind of thing. So to lose weight is probably the biggest thing, to be honest. You have to lie on your side. We do know, when you're lying on your back, your airways shut off completely. So there is a train of thought that you can actually sew a tennis ball into somebody's back, into the back of their pyjamas.
Yeah.
But obesity is the biggest thing, and I find all of the sleep issues dissipate when somebody starts losing like that 10-20% of their body weight.
Isn't that interesting? An old friend of mine, Vinny Savage, is in Nina, and he says if somebody eats 2 eggs a day, is that too many? Asking for a friend, go out to that.
Your eggs, this is a good one. So many people are afraid of cholesterol in eggs, right? So the cholesterol in eggs is good cholesterol, so you don't have to worry about that. Make sure the eggs are organic eggs, so make sure that the hens are fed properly, as in the kippens not around the yard, and not grain, because that creates the wrong omega-3s in it, right? But you can't really have too many eggs. The problem is your gut microbiome can overload on a certain food. So if you were to have eggs every single day, your gut microbiome might say, well, I actually have enough of that food now, I don't want it, and you might feel an aversion to it, that you just can't eat it for a month or so, So what I would say, as with any food, have it for a couple of days and take a break, and then have it for a couple of days and take a break. So don't do it 7 days a week, but maybe do it 4.
All right. Kathleen is on. She wants you to do a full slot on IBS at some stage. Now, no, you did that too.
We'll do that in January.
In the past,
Yeah,
but I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Just a really quick one. Kind of an interesting question, really. Ask Muriel, is it better to walk 30 minutes together or split it up into 15-minute walks?
You know,
which is the most effective to burn calories?
There's no such thing as most effective, and forget about burning calories, because if you're eating the right diet, you can never walk off the wrong foods. Exercise, like a walk, is for your mental health and your cardiovascular health, so your health markers, right? It's whatever your body can manage to do, and you can do within the time constraints you have in a day. You do have to be slightly out of breath, so you're supposed to walk that you push yourself, that you can hold a conversation, but you have to take a breath here and there. So that's the most important thing. But there's no set in stone.
All right. If people want to talk to yourself or Charlotte,
you go today.
Go on, Muriel.
I know why you're
doing. Have a laugh.
I know why.
Seriously.
I know why Charlotte is doing this, because you always forget.
I don't. It's 062 88 002. See, 88 002.
88 002. Okay.
062.
All right. Well, great to see you both, and thanks very much for coming in to us today. That's Charlotte and Muriel. We'll take a break. Back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
And you're very welcome back to Tip Today. Now, lots of questions coming in for Muriel and for Charlotte, and what we'll do is we'll store them up and we will present them to them the next time round, and they will have answers ready for you. Right now, though, glad to be joined in the studio by one of the big stars of Irish country music, TR Dallas. Tom Allen is with me. Good morning to you, Tom.
Good morning, Fran, and thanks for having me.
You're very welcome indeed. So you made it down through all the hold-ups and the roadworks and all of that.
Yeah, it took me nearly 3 hours to get down. 2 and 3/4. Yeah.
From boat?
Yeah.
My God.
The traffic is hectic. Just a bad time, schools.
I suppose, yeah. I suppose you're
and
hitting
then
it all.
roadworks and frost. And, well.
Celebrating, though, 55 years of recordings, Tom.
Yeah.
That's...
It's hard to believe it, you know. And I suppose, Fran, I'm about 60 years because Tony and myself and a couple of local lads, we were doing relief to the bigger bands before
your
that.
brother Tony from Poston,
yeah,
of course, yeah.
And so it's even longer than that. But I recorded my first song in 1970 with a band called the Fine Avens from Castleblaney, and it was an old George Jones song he brought out in '68 called "The Stranger's Me." Now I had to re-record it, actually enough, because from an 8-track studio above in Andrews in Dublin, yeah, standing in the middle of the dance floor. I imagine it was like...
Was that the old television club? Was that?
It was,
yeah.
And they just put up these 4 battens that kind of rounded out on the dance floor, and the microphone, you sang there, and they had a little 8-track machine inside in a hut, and the only one person able to fit in there, really. And
so many of the recordings made there.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, all the big, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, they were different times. I mean, you didn't have quadraphonic sound and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah. So that was the first recording, Tom?
That was my first recording. I joined the band called the Fine Avens, and Tony, funny enough, he came with us for about 3 or 4 months, but Tony was only about 16, 17 at the time, you know. 16, I'd say. And he didn't like, so he went back home. He had too good a life at home. He was spoilt, you know.
And did you have to be based in Dublin for that, though?
No, in Monaghan, Castleblaney.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
We used to tum a lift up and down the road, you know. So.
And were you lead singer of the band?
Yeah. It was Tom Allen and the Fine Avens. Yeah. The Horse Fine Avon won the Grand National. And most of them fell that year, and he won. And so that's how the band got its name, Fine Avon.
And you were touring all over the country then with them?
Oh, yeah, and Scotland. But you talk about, you know, the tough times. You know, I remember going to Scotland. We had an old transit minibus and a bit of timber keeping the gear in at the back. And then the other side of that was some boxes with wires and stuff in it and a cushion. That was the back seat, like. Imagine sitting on that for 3 or 4 hours.
The glamour of it.
The glamour of it, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what
who
was
cared, like 18 or 19 years of age?
But what was it like for a young lad to go on tour like that?
It was fantastic.
Was it?
Oh, God, yeah, Fran. I mean, like, I seen a photograph recently, somebody sent it to me of, it was taken in the National Ballroom in Dublin, and the crowd was just packed in. Maybe at that time it could be 1,000 people there, Yeah. And that was probably a Thursday night or a Wednesday night or something, There was 4 dance halls in Parnell Square back then.
Right, yeah. The Iron, was it?
Yeah, the Iron. You had the Irish Club, the National. There was another one down kind of top of O'Connell Street. And there was some of the upstairs somewhere. Yeah, there was 4.
And they were all packed.
4 halls, yeah. Well, some as young as used to go to Dublin. It was only an hour and a half up the road, and there could be 5 dances in Dublin on the one night. Like Television Club, the Iron. There was a place just at O'Connell Bridge as well.
Yeah,
there was loads of them.
Not to mention the hotels and the dances.
Yeah, the hotels wouldn't be doing much then. The hotels got a taste of it when the disco came along.
Yeah,
and they could see they were able to make handy money.
Where did you go after that first band then?
I left the sailors. I got my tonsils out in 1970, 71, and I came back home and I was a mechanic kind of before that, and then I became a car salesman. I was selling cars, and there again, Tony and myself and the lads, we started up the little band again, and we called ourselves the Prairie Boys. And Doc Carroll approached us to become his backing band, so then we became known as the Night Runners. So that lasted from 72 till 75 when Foster and Allen decided they were going to do their own thing, and Doc was going to start a rock and roll band. So we finished up, and I joined a local band called the Sailors then. And I recorded with them in 76 and 7, I think it was. Then I joined the Mainliners in 78.
Yeah, that was a huge step.
That was a big step forward, yeah.
I thought was that after John Glenn, was it?
I thought it was a big step, yeah.
Yeah.
John decided to go and do his own thing, and but at that stage the business was changing a bit, and the Mainliners had been around a long time, and then they decided they were going to take a break for a while. So the band went off the road. I was only with them about 10 or 11 months, and I came back home, and I got a job in a local hardware, kind of out collecting money or whatever. But I had a job, which was important. And one evening I was in the house when Brendan Shine rang. There was no mobiles then, and he said to me, "What are you at?" And there's not much. And he had the pub in Athlone just across the town.
Yeah.
And he said, "Come over here." He said, "Somebody wants to meet you." I said, "Who's looking for me, Brendan?" And he said, "A fellow wants to start a band." Oh, Jesus, Brendan, I don't know about that. I'm after having nearly my fair share of that. And he kept, don't spoil. You have to get in a good run and good publicity. So I went over and met Shine. That was about 7 o'clock in the evening. And John Staunton was there. John, who went along and worked with Daniel for years and years after.
Yeah.
So John said to me that he had a very good drummer. And John was a very good musician himself. And Shine said, "Sure, Jerry Flynn is only down the street there, and he's a good bass player. If you can get a keyboard player." So I knew a fella beside me that played keyboards, and I rang him. While I was ringing him, Shine was ringing the fella, the bass player. At 9 o'clock, we had a band put together called Tom Allen and his band, and that was just coming up to Christmas. What year was that? It was in 1979, and we went on the road as Tom Allen and his band. And then Donny Cassidy approached me to go working for him because he was looking after the Morrisseys, a well-known Morrissey group from Tipperary. And
Foster and Allen, of course.
And Foster and Allen and Jim Tobin, and he had Poik Brown and a whole lot. And he brought in Huey Green. Is it Huey Green?
That's right, Opportunity Knocks, yeah.
So I went working with him, and I had the opportunity of selling my own band as well, you see. And then one morning, somebody threw in a cassette tape and said, "Have a listen there, you get a good laugh." So we put on the tape, which was Who Shot JR? And we played it and we listened to it, and we could only get the studio on a Sunday, so we didn't have the Sunday and recorded the song. And on Monday we rang the Late, and they said, "Chuck, bring it out here and we'll have a proper listen." We did. And Gabo was on the middle of the floor, and he said, "Play it again." And he turned round to me and he said, "What are you doing on Saturday night?"
Wow.
I said, "Well, nothing really." Well, he says, "She might as well come on and sing it for us on the Late.
And that was
whenever it was April, May, before the Late finished that year.
Yeah,
it was one of the last. And then we had from that until now, this month, November, around this time, the 24th is this week, it was up to then when they discovered Who Shot JR. had all them that time. And like we were doing the halls, doing a couple of hundred people maybe in the little halls round about in April, May, and the song came out. July we did 2,500 at a carnival in Roscrea. We went from one extreme to another.
Isn't that incredible?
Oh, yeah.
But it's also
the power of the late
I was just going to say, it was so powerful.
Well, I mean, we didn't have the luxury of, the local radio that we have today. We only had one station, really. Well, Pascamuni had a big country program on radio too.
Yeah.
But we did have the television, all the different programs, Live at 3 and SBB and the Late and all
and you had the sponsored programs on RTE, of course.
Brilliant.
Some of them were still there at that point. Yeah.
Oh, they were big time. Yeah, they were big time.
And the reason we're talking about all of this, of course, is that you have a compilation coming out of all of those recordings.
Well, from the first song I ever sang in school, I don't know how I come to learn this song called The Fox and the Goose. But when I was about 7, I knew every word of it. And the teacher who used to do the choir, Miss Carney, she was a very, very nice woman. And she used to get me to sing this for the rest of them when choir practice was over. So I'm after recording that now, along with the first song I ever did, plus re-recorded Humble and JR and these as well, and collected some of the ones that have gone down through the years, and my new single, which is out of the minute, called You're Beautiful, written by Dermot Henry. So all that. So we made up 55 songs. We might even have 56 on it yet,
It's brilliant. When will that be available?
Oh, I'm hoping. I'm working on it. Should be have it by Christmas, hopefully.
Right, okay.
But it's so difficult to get. We don't have the same selection of printing works as we used to have. A lot of people are doing stuff now by computer.
Yeah.
So like proper printing companies. And they're all busy doing bits and pieces,
Of course, yeah. It's a bit. Let's jump ahead and let's listen to the current single. As you say, this is written by Dermot Henry.
Yeah, Dermot
Henry. It's kind of an interesting story how this...
Well, Dermot is from Ballymorton, Sligo, but living in New York from the 70s. And I knew him very well as a young fella in the 70s when he had a band called the Virginians.
Yeah.
And that song, If Those Lips Could Only Speak, And he wrote some great songs, like The Village of Asti and
great song.
What Ireland Means to Me, and different songs with Mike Denver and different people recorded stuff. But we were on the cruise ship. We've been doing these cruises, as you know, for a few years, and we were on a cruise ship a couple of years back and having a cup of coffee one day, and Dermot and we were just chatting and laughing and talking about old times. And I just said, are you doing any writing now? And he said, I haven't done much in a while, but I have one now, just finished, he said. And I said, what's it like? So he sang a bit of it for me. Well, I said, when you have it finished, can I have it? You can, he said. So, in fairness to him, about a couple of months later, he sent it to me, and that's a couple of years ago. So, at last, I got it.
That's very good. This is getting a lot of play as well.
It is going really well. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's have a listen. This is the latest single from TR. It's called You're Beautiful.
I haven't seen you for a while, but the feeling's still the same. It came back when you smiled. Whatever happened hasn't changed. My heart is in a tizzy, my head is in a spin. And this happens every time that I see you again. And you're beautiful, so beautiful, just beautiful. Nothing like I've ever seen before. You have me doing things I thought I'd never do at all. All because of you, because you're beautiful. I can't sleep a wink at night, lying on my double bed, turning on and off the lights, wondering what I should have said. I'm half afraid to tell you, but I know for sure it's true. I love you and I hope you love me too. And you're beautiful, so beautiful, just beautiful. Nothing like I've ever seen before. You have me doing things I thought I'd never do at all. All because of you, because you're beautiful. Things I've never heard. When you're by my side, I'm in another world. I've been around but never found someone as sweet as you. And if love is all you need, then all I need is you. And you're beautiful, so beautiful.
That's the latest single from TR, from Tom. It sounds great. And again, you were making the point off air, the traditional instruments are being used more and more in the repertoire.
Yeah, I think, the fiddle and the accordion is in a lot of bands are using them now,
Yeah, and it's great to see it as well. You're still touring, of course, Tom.
And thank God. I'm down the road tonight here, so I'm only up. Well, I don't know exactly where I am, but I'm in Capel White. I'm in Capel White, yeah. And I'm looking forward to that because I'll be working with all the old buddies like Declan Erner, Mick Flavin, and Louise is on it, and Jerry Guthrie, Patsy O'Sullivan, and myself, and Declan's band is doing the back, and so that'll be the same.
That's in the community centre there. In Capel,
and I'm sure there's tickets available at the door for people if they want to come along. Yeah.
So you won't be sent away as
I know.
Yeah.
No.
You're with Trudy and Billy as well. What's happening?
Yeah, well, that's again, we do a good bit of work with Trudy and Billy, and in Portugal and different places. But we're in the Horse and Jockey, the Theatre of the Horse and Jockey. That's on the 8th of December. And that's a kind of a Trudy's Christmas party night. And we're myself and Mick Foster and Billy, how we came together a while back, and we call ourselves the Musketeers. So we'll be there doing our thing on the night, and Trudy, of course, will be there, along with Glenn Flynn and Myra Fraser and Paddy O'Brien, the great Paddy O'Brien from English, will be there as well.
Good,
so, that's the 8th of December.
That's in the Horse and Jockey.
Yeah, it's a lovely venue.
So tickets on sale for that now.
There's tickets at the Horse and Jockey,
yes, yeah. And this coming Monday night, I think you're in the Rag, are you?
I am indeed.
You're doing a world tour of Tipperary.
Yeah, honestly, God. And it's just amazing how it should happen that I'm here this morning. There was nothing planned, except you and I were chatting a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm in the Horse and Jockey, and and not the Horse and Jockey, the Rag, next Monday night, the Rag and Tours. There's Monday night dancing there. But it's one of the places we used to do with the band long ago. It used to be packed like.
Oh, God.
It was a fantastic venue.
Remember the Wednesday nights there? I mean, you just couldn't get in.
Yeah. That was a kind of a ballety night, was it? The Wednesday.
It was a cabaret night. Cabaret night, yeah.
Well, we used to do the dancing as well. I don't know what night. That could be Wednesday, I forget now. But the Rag was always a fabulous venue. So I'm looking forward to coming there on Monday night. Pat Costello, I think, looks after things there.
So indeed,
it'll be great. It'll be grand to meet some of the people again,
Yeah, and that's something I was going to ask you. Do you find now touring you're meeting people who you met like 40 years ago?
Well,
50 years ago?
That's the truth, and it's amazing. We meet some young people, but they could come up and say, my granny used to dance to you. And my granddad used to come and dance to you. But I meet a lot of people who, if you think about it, back in the 80s, like it's 45 years ago or whatever, and they went away and they got married and families, and now they're back kind of coming out again to see the bands. But the concert scene is going very well. The older people now, they used to go dancing. They come to the concerts, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is they can buy their ticket in advance. They don't have to be worried about having money in their pocket on the night. They're home early, and some of them like maybe to go for a drink on the way home, so they can do all that. But they only do it like maybe once in a while,
Yes, but they have the comfort of a theatre then,
they have,
a
the comfort
or whatever. I know you yourself and indeed your brother Tony as well. You're very generous towards the younger people, and you kind of feel for them trying to start a career now, Tom.
But see, Fran, if we don't get the younger people, give them a hand along the way. There's so much young talent out there, especially in Tipperary. There's quite a few of them. And I want to wish young Dee Morrissey the best of luck.
Oh, absolutely, on Clortira, yeah.
So I want all the people in Tipperary to get behind her and give her their support.
Yes.
But we need this. We need there is so many. Like I'm doing I have a new single coming out. Myself and Jerry Guthrie recorded it. I just think Jerry Guthrie is one of the finest singers in Ireland. He's got a great
guitar player as well.
And a great guitar player. And I love it. And a nice fella.
Yeah.
But you have a young David James, and there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Surely I better not start naming, I'll forget somebody. But we need, it's just like a football team, Fran. If you don't have the young ones coming through like an underage, you won't have a good senior team.
Do you find though? They're so bloody young. You see, do they realise what a big star?
Well,
you were back in the 80s, for example. Do they realise the kind of numbers that you were drawing?
Stars or something that comes out at night.
I know, but you know what I'm saying to you.
Yeah. But well, they don't. But they, the only sad thing about it, in my opinion now, and I could be wrong, Fran, but when they get a little bit of the limelight, they're expecting to think they're stars, you know. Like I would do some of these shows with some of these youngsters, and the youngsters, the people, the young ones that doing the shows are not too bad, but the parents, like, yeah. I was up north doing something recently, and somebody gave a box of sweets or something to this young fella, and the father said, "Look at this! Look at this! Did you ever see
what a big star he is?
Yeah, look at this! They're bringing presents to him and everything, you know." And so I just smiled to myself and I said to him, yeah, so been there, done that. But we need young talent, and there's a lot of it. Like, I mean, and there's a lot of.
That's for sure. But I am amused recently that, you know, you hear so and so had 500 people, and you think, oh God, that's amazing, you know. But I mean, you spoke yourself there, 2,500 people at a carnival.
Yeah, but different times, Fran.
I know they were, but still, it's.
But believe it, like when I started in 1980. There was no other band started until Daniel in 86. There was that much of a gap. Because the disco boom had come along and the hall started to close, and the hotels saw that there was money to be got, and they started the discos.
Yes.
So the very little expense. So they were able to get crowds of people in. But the dances back then, I mean, sure, you could have 200 or 300 people standing outside the door waiting to get in before you open. And I remember doing Ballyhaunis sometime about 83 or 4. And the guy said that the crowds, you know, anyone that went under 1,000 people, they weren't bringing them back. And we had like 1,500, 1,400. And Dennis Allen had been there the week before, and he'd something similar. So, like, there were, you know, if they got 1,000 in a month, they'd be delighted.
Oh, for God's sake. If we got a couple of hundred people now, we'd be boasting about it.
Yeah,
you know,
but
like
things have changed. The mobile phone and the iPad changed the world, you know.
Yeah.
It definitely changed the world. And it's a different way of life altogether.
And it's going to be a big night tonight. Capoy Caroline onto us straight away to tell us about Tom is there, TR is there, of course, Declan Ernie and the band, Louise is there, Jerry Guthrie, Mick Flavin, Patrick O'Sullivan, and tickets are €30. You can pay on the door, and there's a raffle as well, and doors opening there at 7 o'clock. And as you say, then along with Trudy, that's the 8th of
That's
December,
the 8th of December, yeah. It's a lovely venue. We did it there back earlier in the year.
Gorgeous.
And like it's not massive, so people needs to, you know, get their tickets now. But that's
a horse and jockey hotel there. Yeah.
On the 8th of December,
and
for
Monday
the Christmas show. And this Monday, all roads lead to the Rag and Turles this Monday night for TR Dallas.
And the crack will be mighty. Can I just give a small? We only have very little time left, but I just want to spend a few minutes, if I can, just playing that single.
Fran, thanks a million for having me, and thanks to your listeners and everybody out there for all the support down through the years.
Pleasure, always good to see you, Tom.
You too,
thanks very much indeed. This is the single that Tom recorded.
And Jerry Guthrie, yeah.
Jerry Guthrie. Let's have a listen to that right now.
The dreamer that I was as a child, my imagination's running wild, catching bad guys, saving ladies like a cowboy does. If only I was older than I was. Everybody wants to be 21, full of life, and life is full of fun. The young wish they were older, and the old wish they were young. Everybody wants to be 21.
18 years old and old enough to fight, close enough to taste, and thirsty for the ride. The winds of change just couldn't seem to blow quite strong enough. If only I was older than I was. Everybody wants to be 21, full of life and life full of fun. The young wish they were older, and the old wish they were young. Everybody wants to be 21.
And that's new music from T.R. Dallas and the wonderful Jerry Guthrie. It's a gorgeous recording of that, indeed. Everybody wants to be 21, and God knows it's true. That's it from me. Leanne produced, Ali looks after content. Stephen has the Time Tunnel on the lunchtime show. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and at that point we will be live from our studio on Pierce Street in Nina. Look after yourselves in the meantime, won't you? Bye-bye.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.